Rawteur. This is The Island, and in 2005, its producers lost a six-figure lawsuit when Clonus Associates presented 90 pieces of evidence of copyright infringement. In Clonus, things start sunny, literally. The camera glides over a campus that looks more like a wellness retreat than a death camp. The clones live like obedient students, jogging in groups, eating bland food, and listening to motivational speeches about how they'll soon go to a place called America. It's an illusion painted in blue skies and smiles. In The Island, the illusion is sleeker. The clones aren't just obedient, they're grateful. Lincoln Six Echo wakes up each day believing he's been spared from a toxic world. Giant holographic ads play like lullabies for grown-ups, soothing him with the promise of an escape to a paradise called The Island. It's not just earned through merit, it's won, like a prize.
I can't believe I won. You call me Mr. Popular. I know. It's me. I'm going to the island.
The lottery system is brilliant manipulation. It keeps hope alive while making the population compete for their own execution.
I've been here 7. If I do the math, that makes me the biggest lottery loser in the room.
Everything in their daily routine reinforces control, from the food they're allowed to eat to the timing of their showers. In The Island, biometric scans and blood tests are constant. There's even a scene where Lincoln is told he can't have bacon due to a nutritional imbalance.
Lincoln Six Echo choices are fruit, oatmeal, and any type of bran.
No bacon today?
You got a nutrition flag means no bacon.
The lie is so deep, his taste preferences are treated as medical data. In Clonus, the controls are lower tech but just as oppressive. What both films are really doing is raising livestock, not educating, not nurturing, but raising. The clones don't know they're clones. They don't know that the promised land is a surgical table. The audience watches as these fake worlds, America in Clonus and The Island in The Island, manipulate hope to keep the product docile. It's not just tragic, it's calculated. These systems aren't flawed, they're finely tuned, and it works. When a clone is chosen to leave, they celebrate. There's a party, cake, farewell speeches. The whole community claps, believing their friend is going somewhere better. The idea is so effective that clones view execution as a promotion. Starkweather's goodbye in The Island is heart-wrenching. He's ecstatic.
You guys know I'm not like this, but this is just amazing. I'm going to the island. We're going to have so much fun.
In Clonus, the speeches are childlike, almost naive. They're saying goodbye to life while thanking their captors.
It's good to know that I have all of you as friends. And I know that soon all of you will be joining me in America. For that is the land where good friends live.
Richard, the lead in Clonus, starts as childlike and eager to please. So does Lincoln. They ask questions, but not the dangerous ones. Not yet, anyway.
Today, a guide was driving towards me, and he drove all the way around me, just so I couldn't see what he was carrying. Does that ever happen to anyone else?
Why is everyone wearing white all the time? It's impossible to keep clean. I'm walking around, I always get the gray stripe. I never get any color, and I hand it in to be cleaned, and someone cleans it and folds it neatly back in my drawer, but who?
They're both a little sharper than the average clone, but they still buy the dream. This is the phase where ignorance is designed, where no one thinks to run, where rebellion hasn't even formed as a thought. Visually, the divide is clear. Clones wear all white, signifying something pure, uniform, and safe. In The Island, the look is slick and futuristic. In Clonus, it's more utilitarian. The guards, on the other hand, wear darker variations of similar outfits. This resemblance isn't accidental. It suggests order without showing force. The guards aren't meant to look dangerous, they're meant to look like role models, like the next evolutionary step. These films don't start with an escape. They start with a dream, A clean, orderly, future-forward dream. One the audience slowly realizes is a nightmare. And that realization comes slowly, through the overuse of cheerfulness. Every smile becomes suspect. Every celebration starts to feel like a eulogy, because behind every health scan, every exercise drill, and every birthday cake is one brutal truth. They're not being raised to live. They're being farmed to die. Eventually, the illusion starts to wobble. Not because the system fails, but because the human spirit leaks through the cracks. Lincoln begins having dreams. Strange, vivid images he can't explain. Boats on the water, sunlight, and open skies. None of these exist in the world he's been told is real. His handlers say it's nothing, a symptom of stress, but he knows better. These aren't hallucinations. They're memories that don't belong to him. They're echoes of his original's life.
And you've been having nightmares.
Are you saying there's something wrong with me?
Why don't you tell me about your dream?
Well, it's the same dream every time. I'm on a boat, headed to the island.
A boat? What kind of boat?
A nice boat.
In Clonus, the awakening is subtler. Richard doesn't dream in montage, but he notices something just as impossible, a discarded beer can. In a supposedly sterile environment with no outside contamination, this shouldn't exist, and it's enough to start a landslide of suspicion. Why would a sealed world have litter, and why won't anyone talk about it? Both protagonists start testing boundaries. That's when the system notices and pushes back. In The Island, Dr. Merrick calls Lincoln in for an evaluation. The tone is soft, the words are pleasant, but the message is clear. Stop asking questions.
I'd like to run some tests on you, Lincoln.
Oh, it hurts.
Not really.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
In Clonus, Richard's deviation is flagged silently. There are no confrontations, just extra eyes, extra silence. Surveillance gets tighter and routines get stricter.
I gave it all I wanted to give. I just didn't feel like winning.
I'll have to report this.
To who?
I'll have to report that, too.
Even among other clones, the air changes. Questions make the others uncomfortable.
Lena, there's something strange happening here that we're not allowed to know about.
I know. Richard, ever since you and I met, the guides look at me strangely.
Did you see the way they looked at us when we first met? They got angry.
The dream must be protected, even from thought. And for Lincoln and Richard, the realization is chilling. No one else wants to know the truth. They're alone in their suspicion, and so the dream becomes a trap. Curiosity becomes the first sin, and from here, both clones are on a collision course with discovery and the consequences that come with it. What begins as curiosity quickly evolves into something far more dangerous: emotional connections. In both films, the emergence of romantic feelings becomes a red flag to the system. Love signals independence, unpredictability, and above all, loyalty to another person over the institution. In The Island, Lincoln and Jordan share a subtle bond from the beginning, but as Lincoln starts to unravel the truth, his protectiveness towards her intensifies. The moment she's selected for the island, which he now knows means surgery and death, everything changes. He doesn't just escape for himself, he escapes for her. Clonus handles it more slowly, but no less tragically. Richard's connection to Lena is soft. They talk in hushed tones, they share concern, and eventually, he trusts her with what he's seen. The system, of course, responds immediately. In both stories, affection isn't just discouraged, it's treated like contamination. There's an unspoken logic here. A clone in love is a clone willing to run, willing to risk everything, and worse, a clone in love might be willing to fight back. The repression isn't just social, it's biochemical. The island goes so far as to suggest that sexual desire is chemically suppressed. The clones are designed to be sterile in every way, emotionally, physically, and intellectually. While in Clonus, the simplicity of their behavior achieves a similar goal. They're childlike for a reason. They're meant to be harmless.
A virus is dropped into the original clone cell at the time of its inception, which causes its mental abilities to be impaired.
But love finds its way through the cracks. In both stories, the first real act of rebellion isn't running or fighting, it's caring. And once that switch flips, the clone is no longer property. They're human, and that's when the system starts hunting them. Curiosity was dangerous, but discovery, that's war. Richard finds a beer can in the woods, Lincoln finds a moth in the ventilation system. Both of these objects shouldn't exist. They're breaches in the narrative. Proof the story they've been told is a lie, and neither character can ignore them. From here, the investigations start. Lincoln begins sneaking around the facility. He hacks into security rooms. He sees clones, his friends being dissected. He learns that the island doesn't exist. It's a death sentence wrapped in tropical marketing. In Clonus, Richard explores areas he's not supposed to access. He finds cold storage rooms, body bags, and tape recordings. There's no cinematic reveal, just quiet horror. He realizes he's not going to America, he's going to pieces. Security in both films doesn't wait for a full report. Once they know a clone has seen too much, alarms go off. Not metaphorically, literally. In The Island, guards are dispatched immediately. In Clonus, it's more bureaucratic, but the result is the same. Richard is flagged for deletion. These aren't passive discoveries, they're turning points. Both clones take what they've learned and run. But they don't run alone. Lincoln races to stop Jordan from undergoing surgery. He fights his way through security, risks exposure, and grabs her just in time. In Clonus, Richard warns Lena. It's less explosive and more tragic.
I'm never gonna see you again.
Of course you're gonna see me again. I'm gonna go to America, find out the answers, and I'm gonna come back.
Richard, why? Why do you have to go to America?
Because I have to find out for you and for me and for everyone else.
The stakes inevitably get physical. In The Island, Starkweather, the actor clone, wakes up mid-surgery. His screams are muffled, but not forgotten. In Clonus, a similar scene plays out. These moments aren't just disturbing, they're violations. Proof that even in death, the clones aren't given dignity. These scenes make one thing undeniable. This isn't just a story about control. It's a story about cruelty, and now the only way out is through. The moment of truth breaks the surface when the clone is no longer a subject, they're a fugitive. Both The Island and Clonus shift from eerie dystopia to a full-on chase thriller the moment the leads make a break for it. The institutions don't try to reason, they mobilize. The goal is simple: retrieve or eliminate the asset. In The Island, Lincoln and Jordan make a desperate escape through hidden tunnels and industrial corridors. They don't stop to plan, they run. Sirens blare, guards swarm. The high-tech sleekness of their former world turned into a steel and glass maze, cold and mechanical. But Clonus handles it with less spectacle but equal dread. Richard flees through storm drains and empty passageways. There's no adrenaline score behind him, no action choreography, just urgency and fear. Every hallway feels like a trap, every shadow a threat. Once outside, both stories take a beat. The clones step into the real world, and it's a different kind of danger. For Lincoln and Jordan, it's loud, colorful, and overwhelming. Neon lights, traffic, people. Freedom tastes like confusion. Richard's world isn't neon, it's painfully average. A small town, regular houses, but the silence is deafening. It's the first time he's ever been somewhere without cameras. Still, safety is an illusion. The systems that built them are still watching. Here's where the tracking technology kicks in. In the island, Lincoln's movements are traced via implant. He's now a blip on a screen as a rogue asset in need of disposal. Clonus lacks the tech, but the oversight is the same. Richard's every move is shadowed by the threat of recovery. The difference is in tone. The island becomes a Michael Bay action sequence. Motorcycle stunts, magnetic train rides, armored soldiers. Clonus stays pretty quiet. It's uneasy. It knows that the scariest part isn't the chase. It's knowing there's nowhere to run. Outside of the facility, the clones find freedom, but not peace, because in both films, escaping the lab only brings them to another kind of maze, the real world. In the island, Lincoln and Jordan arrive in a noisy, chaotic city. They don't understand traffic, money, sarcasm. Even basic things like clothing brands and advertisements feel alien. Lincoln watches TV for the first time. He sees beer commercials and learns who Tom Lincoln is. The cultural shock is overwhelming.
And you would be who?
Lincoln, 6 Echo.
Jordan, 2 Delta.
Right.
Y'all some of those desert UFO freaks.
You what? No. I don't think so, no.
In Clonus, Richard ends up in a sleepy suburban neighborhood. No holograms, no skyscrapers, just lawns, fences, and a regular couple who take him in. It's mundane, and that makes it even more jarring. He blends in, but just barely because his behavior is off. His speech patterns are strange. The wife of the man who shelters him treats him like a confused guest, but the audience knows he's not just out of place, he's a different species of human entirely. But it doesn't stop there. Both Lincoln and Richard eventually discover their originals. In the island, Lincoln meets Tom Lincoln, a Scottish party boy who's everything he's not. It's a confrontation that feels philosophical. 2 bodies, same DNA, wildly different souls. Also, the people who help them inevitably become collateral damage. In the island, McCord, a technician who defects and chooses to help the clones, is killed for his act of compassion.
These are bags, okay? You put stuff in them. Backpacks for boys, purses for girls. Understand?
We're not idiots.
Well, excuse me, miss. I'm so smart I can't wait to go to the island.
In Clonus, the man who helps Richard is also murdered. These deaths are quiet, not dramatic. They're reminders that the institution doesn't tolerate leaks, especially not from insiders. There's no rescue coming, no confession, just silence. And it's in that silence that the clones finally see their place in the world, not as miracles of science, but as disposable property, shadows of other people's lives. By now, the lie has unraveled, but exposing the truth is still far from guaranteed. In both Clonus and the island, the final stretch is about justice, or at least the attempt. In Clonus, Richard's story is documented and sent to a journalist. It's a desperate move, a hope that the outside world will care. In the island, Lincoln and Jordan go back inside, not to hide, to take the whole system down from the inside. In both films, the masterminds of the operation are fully revealed. In the island is Dr. Merrick, who insists clones are property, while in Clonus, it's shadowy figures behind Walker Industries, and the politicians quietly backing it. These are not mad scientists, they are calm, confident businessmen. They believe they are right, and that's what makes them terrifying. The clones, by contrast, assert their personhood not through speeches, but through choices. Lincoln refuses to give up Jordan. Richard risks everything to expose the system. They both act not like property, but like people. There's a philosophical debate at the heart of both stories. Are clones humans? Do they have souls? Merrick calls them assets. Lincoln calls himself a man. In Clonus, that debate plays out in silence, but the implication is the same. If these creatures feel fear, love, loyalty, How can they be anything less than human? The villains think they're gods, but they're just men with funding. The stories end in different ways. The island ends with spectacle. The clone facility is destroyed, and Lincoln and Jordan free the others. It's an uprising and a victory. In Clonus, the ending is quieter and bleaker. The evidence makes it out. The journalist sees it, but whether anyone listens, we never find out. Both endings are fitting, because while one offers a cathartic win, the other leaves us haunted. Now, it wasn't just movie fans who noticed the similarities between The Island and Clonus when the trailers for The Island dropped. The filmmakers behind Clonus were stunned. Doug Hall, the writer and co-producer of Clonus, saw scene after scene that looked eerily familiar, not inspired, but copied. So, Clonus Associates did something about it. In August 2005, Clonus Associates filed a lawsuit against Dreamworks and Warner Brothers alleging copyright infringement based on 90 specific points of similarity. They weren't vague about it. They documented everything: plot points, character arcs, visual elements, even specific scenes and themes. It wasn't just about two clone stories. It was about structure, tone, and an unmistakable overlap. The case caught some media attention, but it wasn't widely publicized. Many assumed it was just another David versus Goliath lawsuit doomed to fail, but the David in this scenario had a solid case. By December of that year, the case settled out of court. The terms were confidential, but sources close to the matter reported that the Clonus team received a six-figure payout. It wasn't a courtroom victory per se, but it was an acknowledgement, quiet, but meaningful. Kinda like the theme of their movie. It's ironic, isn't it? For Doug Hall and the original creators, it was vindication. Today, The Island is still more widely known, but among cinephiles and legal scholars, the Clonus case remains a powerful example of how small films leave big shadows. If you enjoyed this video, check this one out next.